Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to give an overview of the gray wolf, show you its history with humans, and discuss current events concerning wolves. Before human interference, the gray wolf, or Canis lupus, lived in most of the northern hemisphere. Now it only lives in certain parts of the US, mainly Alaska, along with Canada, Eurasia, and even Mexico. This map gives you a good idea of how the gray wolf population is distributed throughout the US. The majority of the wolf population in the US is in Alaska. This map provides a visual representation of how much the gray wolves have been harmed. The red color marks where wolves used to be commonly present, and the green marks where wolves can be found today. Obviously, this is a very general description, but I think it helps understand what happened. Wolves are a keystone species in their ecosystems, meaning that other organisms rely on them to regulate the diversity of their ecosystem. If wolves were removed from the food chain, their ecosystem would become unstable, and populations of other species would either grow or be reduced drastically. This is known as a trophic cascade. This diagram shows how the wolf has either a direct or indirect effect on the other organisms in its ecosystem. Wolves mostly hunt and feed on large animals like moose, deer, elk, and bison. These large animals can only be taken down by a pack, so if hunting alone, a wolf will eat small mammals like rabbits or beavers. Gray wolves are very social animals, and they are famous for living in packs. Within these packs, there are about 5 to 9 wolves on average. You've probably heard of their pack hierarchy. At the top are the alpha male and female who lead the pack together. They are the first to eat and typically the only pair to breed. If the alpha male is unable to lead the pack, the beta male will take over instead of the alpha female. The rest of the pack members are known as the subordinate wolves, or deltas, and are often the children of the alpha male and female. At the very bottom is the omega, who is the weakest and eats last, but isn't necessarily treated badly. This hierarchy isn't as strict as you would think, and every pack is unique and different. During the fall and winter, a wolf pack is in its nomadic period. This is when they roam around and cover large distances. In the spring and summer, the pack is in its stationary period. This is when wolf pups are born and cared for. Gray wolves only breed once a year during this time. A lifelong bond is formed between the two wolves, and they will only breed with each other unless something happens to one of them. Each litter can have between 5 and 14 pups, and they are cared for by the entire pack. Now we'll move on to the history of the gray wolf. American settlers moving throughout North America feared the gray wolves that lived there. These settlers often kept livestock, and although wolves would not often attack cattle, they were hunted to keep them away. People would shoot, poison, or trap wolves. During the 18 and 1900s, a bounty was paid for hunting wolves in most states. By 1935, wolves were completely absent from the lower peninsula of Michigan, and by 1958, only 7 wolves were known to be in the upper peninsula. 1958 was also the year in which the study of wolves on Isle Royale started. 1 year later, only 1 wolf was in all of Michigan. Because of this drastic reduction in the gray wolf population, the Michigan government removed the bounty and gave the wolves full legal protection. When President Nixon made the Endangered Species Act law in 1973, the gray wolves were protected on a federal level. An attempt to translocate 4 wolves to Michigan in 1974 ended poorly, as all 4 wolves were killed by hunters within a year of their arrival. Throughout the 80s and 90s, a wolf pair who were discovered in the Upper Peninsula had pups, eventually increasing Michigan's wolf population to 21. This is a graph of the gray wolf population in the U.S., showing its gradual increase over the late 20th century and a spike at the start of the 21st century. The wolf population in the U.S. continued to grow under federal protection until 2003, when the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service had delisted the gray wolf from endangered to threatened. When a species is delisted, it is no longer protected by the federal government, and it is up to the state governments to decide how that species is protected. An Oregon District Court judge overruled this decision, which meant that the gray wolf was put back to endangered. The gray wolf was delisted again in 2009, but after a brutal hunting season in several states harmed the wolf population significantly, their federal protections were restored. This pattern has continued over the years and has occurred very recently. The Trump administration removed gray wolves from the federal endangered list on October 29 of 2019. This was a controversial decision, and many conservationists argued that the wolves were not ready to be delisted again because they only occupy 20% of the areas that they used to. At this time, the wolf population was at 6,000 in the lower 48 states. On January 20 of 2021, the new Biden administration had many environmental agencies make sure that the policies of the previous administration were beneficial. The delisting of the gray wolf was included in this, but the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued a statement in which they stood by their previous decision and refused to change anything. Many conservationists felt that the Fish and Wildlife Service didn't properly complete their review and that its history of politics had interfered with the decision that was made. This is still ongoing, and we have yet to see if the gray wolf will be placed back on the federal endangered species list. I never realized the politics that were behind the conservation of endangered animals. I hope you learned something as well from this video. Thank you for watching.